Hi everyone, my name is Wayne Pollock. I am a lawyer who helps other lawyers engage the audiences that are vital to their firm's success, including their clients, their referral sources, their employees, and the media. In this video, how collaboration is key when lawyers work with outside ghostwriters. I know, it sounds counterintuitive. You have collaboration on one hand and ghostwriters on the other hand. After all, isn't the whole point of a ghostwriter for a lawyer to offload a piece of their everyday life, their everyday work life, marketing and business development to somebody else? Well, yes, of course, that's the point of ghostwriting. But in order to have an effective ghostwriting relationship where the ghostwriter actually produces great work that is consistent with the lawyer's vision for what that piece of content should say, well, then you need to have some collaboration. And the collaboration typically is on the front end and the back end. On the front end, it's important for a lawyer to work with the ghostwriter, to meet with the ghostwriter and speak with the ghostwriter about what the lawyer's vision is for this particular piece of content. 2, 3, 4 different lawyers could read the same court decision or piece of proposed legislation or even administrative agency action and come up with 3 or 4 different takeaways, could have different views on why what happened is important and what it means for potential and current clients moving forward. So it's important that a ghostwriter speak with a lawyer to make sure ahead of time that the piece that the ghostwriter will be working on is going to follow the overall thesis that the lawyer wants to convey and the arguments and the reasons that support that thesis. That's important, and it's key to a relationship between a lawyer and a ghostwriter actually functioning and being effective. Compare that to situations where a lawyer offloads and completely outsources to the ghostwriter the crafting of a piece of content. If the ghostwriter doesn't have a sense of exactly where the lawyer wants to go, then the ghostwriter, even if that ghostwriter is an attorney and an accomplished writer, they're going to have some difficulty matching the expectations of the lawyer. Again, they might be correct in their analysis of the legal development, but they might not be spot on with the so what and the now what aspect of the written content. And remember, I've told you before in a video, and I'll link to it in the description below this video, that there are 3 questions that every piece of thought leadership content should cover when it's discussing developments in the law: what, so what, and now what. But back to this video. It's important that the ghostwriter understands exactly what their lawyer wants to convey. So on the front end, it's important to have these conversations. They shouldn't take long. We're talking 15, 20 minutes on the front end, just for the lawyer to guide the ghostwriter and have the ghostwriter understand what direction the written content is going. Of course, it still falls on the ghostwriter's shoulders to make sure that the piece of content is written in a way that is persuasive, that is compelling, that's engaging, and conveys what the lawyer wants to convey. So you have that on the front end. On the back end, obviously, you're going to have the lawyer review the content. You're going to have them make sure that they agree with the direction and the general statements that are being made in the piece of content. That's important for a substantive quality control perspective. Again, you want the ghostwriter to actually be conveying what the lawyer wants to convey. So that's important that you have that match with the front end and back end collaboration. I would also add from an ethical perspective, and I'll link to a video I did recently about the ethics of working with ghostwriters for lawyers. It's important that the lawyer maintain some control over the product. If you're in a jurisdiction where blog posts and similar written content do fall within the ethical rules, and they're subject to normally Rule 7.1, which says that lawyers can't make false or misleading statements about their practices, their services, or themselves. Well, you could run into an issue where a lawyer outsources completely, with no control over the document or the piece of content, a piece of content, and it is published under the lawyer's name, and now you have a problem because the lawyer had no role in that creation, yet is maintaining and keeping credit for the publication or the writing of that piece of content. Compare that to this collaborative approach. The lawyer's always involved. They're making sure from the get-go that things look good and that they have a direction and a vision that the article will follow. And of course, on the back end, they make sure that they agree with the direction the article took. So it's unlikely when you have this collaborative process that you as a lawyer would run into any issues with ethics when it comes to maintaining control, just like you would when you're writing a brief or writing a letter that's going to be sent or filed under your name. You might have an associate or a colleague draft the initial draft with your guidance and with your supervision, but you're signing off on it and making sure it fits in your overall view of what the document should say, and you sign your name to it without fear that what you're doing is unethical. Same thing when it comes to articles. So from a substantive perspective and an ethics perspective, it's important that lawyers understand that they should be collaborating with their ghostwriters, not only will it make for a better substantive product. It'll also help the ethical side of things. And quite frankly, the more collaboration that happens between a lawyer and a ghostwriter, the better the ghostwriter understands the lawyer's thinking, the lawyer's style, and the lawyer's approach to the law. And that's the key. Once there is familiarity and there's comfort and the lawyer feels like they can trust the ghostwriter, that's when more content is produced, and that's when lawyers can see the benefit of an ongoing content marketing and thought leadership marketing program.